whole day. One game. As long as we know how to move our pawns, our queens, our castles, and our horses. The game is not bound to time. That game is only finished when the king is down. You need to understand that in that game, as long as the king cannot make a second move, the game is over. As soon as the king cannot make another movement, the game is over. As long as the king is bound, the game is over. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to share with you that when we play the game of chess, the king is watching and it still has an opportunity to move. The king is waiting for critical moment. You do not move the king anyhow. You only move the king when it is time to move the king. In the game of chess, you do not move the king whenever it is not allowed. You move the king when it is critical. The disciples longer make a move. The disciples thought the king cannot make another move. They thought the king was now bound. They thought the king was now finished. They thought the king was now sitting as has no other move. Let me tell you, when he was in the grave, they thought the king cannot make another move. When he was in the grave, they thought the king was finished. They were not aware that the king is still on the move. They were not aware that the king is still moving. The king is still moving. It is not over. The king is still moving. And when we read in the book of Revelation chapter 1, when we read verse 18, the Bible says, I have gone and I collected the keys. The keys for what? The keys of death and the keys of hell. As they thought it is over, the king was moving. Polaris minister, as they thought the king was dead, the king was taking a journey to the. When they thought it's over, the king was going to the bottomless of pit to collect my life, to collect my healing. They were not aware that the king was on a journey. It is not over. The king is still moving. The pawns might be down, but it's not over. Your health might be challenged, but the game is not over. Still moving. Because the king is moving. My Bible says the king went to collect the keys. You could be saying my pawns are down. You could be saying my castle is down. You could be saying they've repossessed my house. You could be saying they've taken away that which I have trusted in. You could be saying they've taken my job. You could be saying they've taken my money. You could be saying they've taken my business. The king is still moving. The king is still making a move. It is not over as long as the king is still moving. Isa sepela khosh. Isa sepela khosh. Kai kwala mo montshwareng a letšatši ya sepela ka ratente e. O sepela ke a mo kwa. Isa sepela khosh. Isa sepela khosh. Yes, the pawn is down, but the king still has a move. Yes, it is over with your marriage, but the king is still moving. You are saying I'm in divorce, Percy. What king are you talking about? He's still moving. You are saying I've lost another pawn. My child is in drugs. He's still moving. It's a sepela khosh. It's a sepela khoshi. It's a sepela khoshi. Le moment montshwareng a letšatši ke a mo kwa wa sepela. It is not over. They thought it was over. All of a sudden, they recognize the laws of men. All of a sudden, they recognize the solutions of men. Maybe you're saying, Peace, you're still young. What are you talking about? You're saying, you haven't seen life. But I'm telling you, when I read my Bible, I realized that there are men and women who could have came to the conclusion that it is over with their lives. But they held on. My Bible says Job, the servant of God, when all was emptied, when he had lost every pawn, when he had lost every horse, when he had lost every castle, my Bible says he still stood. And he says, I know. Gatiba! My Redeemer. Mulupuluduaka. Weapina. They had thought it is over. Banana rijaso kwile. Banana rufedile. Chopar Gatiba. I know that my Redeemer liveth. Even in your situation, he still lives. My Bible says in the book of Hebrews chapter 11, you read verse 60, Mamfundis last week ministered very well on this topic. The Bible says, he rewards those who diligently seek him. But what are they supposed to do? They must firstly believe that he exists. They had forgotten. But let's take another journey. Then we realize that they had forgotten, because several times he had told them he shall resurrect. Several times. The first time we see it when he's talking to the Pharisees and he's saying to them, destroy this temple and within 3 days I shall build it from scratch. He was referring to himself saying, destroy me and within 3 days I shall rise again. And even to them saying, you shall rise again because it is not over. You shall rise again because it is not over. Then my Bible further says, he took them back to the situation of Jonah. And he says to them, as Jonah was in the belly of the fish, so I shall be in the belly of the earth. Then on the third day, just like Jonah, I shall come out. Even this fish shall spit me out. You could be saying, Percy, the fish I'm in is too big to spit me. You are saying, Percy, I'm deep in drugs. My fish today is drugs. And I'm saying, if you have Christ in you, it has to spit you, not tomorrow, but today. You could be saying, Percy, my marriage is a mess. My fish in my marriage is so big. My husband is sleeping around. My husband is messing up. It is over. And I'm saying to you, if you have Christ inside of you, this fish has to spit you out. You could be saying, Percy, I am in a mess. My fish is too big. And I'm saying it cannot hold you. It is not over. That fish cannot bind you forever. It has to spit you. But they forgot all about these examples he gave them. Sometimes when we go through circumstances, when we go through trials, we forget the messages we heard when it was all well. Sometimes when it is tough, we forget all the confessions we made when it was all well. When it is well, we quote verses, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, but as a simple needle goes to my body, and we cry, Yo Mawe, I need help. We cry, Yo Mawe, lisango malikai, kinalinelete, Yo Mawe, kinakatusho, realibala, manchore abulechi. The Bible did not say weapons will not come. It did not say weapons will not come. It says they shall not prosper. So, Mfundisi, they need to understand that something that says it shall not prosper, it means it should have tried. So those weapons, when they come, it is in our reaction that we would then confess that verse. I'm saying, in that situation, remember the confessions you made when it was all well. And that is where you shall be even able to say, it is not over. Because of the confessions, the same preaching we're making today, and it is all well in your life. You may need it tomorrow.